In 2009, something crazy happened. Property lost 40% of their value. Whoever lived in that time, he knew that this was a crazy incident. You know why? Because this did not happen in a whole year. It happened only on 3 months. Many of the buildings become suddenly empty and lots of projects just frozen. The investors who took loans from the bank, they lost a lot of some money because their property now is not matching the value of the loan they took from the bank. But today, in 2025, the property values is the highest in the history of Dubai. Between then and now, what happened? This is the story that I'm going to tell you today. So watch out, because I will give you lots of details and many information about the history and many lessons you should take it with you for the future. And I will show you what happened in the middle and make the difference between yesterday and today. To understand the crash in 2009, we need to go back to 2006. Between 2006 until 2009, the growth was crazy in Dubai. The banks was injecting hell amount of money for the investors. Many of the investors start to take loans up to 90%, 95% of the value of the properties. And the government was investing heavily in the infrastructure and in the projects. At that time, some of the projects that being done until now, everyone feel like it's a crazy investment. Who would have done this investment? And these crazy investments make Dubai what we know it now. The problem is with the amount of loans that banks was giving for the investors. This 90 and 95% that the banks were giving for the investors make huge amount of liquidity going to the market. The crisis in 2009 happened for three main reasons. You should understand it very well so you can make a very cautious and intelligent decision in your investment today. First one is the developers was building crazy amount of units. They thought that whatever the size of the units they are going to inject in the economy, there is people who's going to buy it and use it. But many of these units become empty because the supply was higher than the demand. The second reason is many of the investors who is jumping to the market, they were not buying to use. They were buying to flip these properties. So they end up buying a property that no one want to buy from them. And that was creating the bubble itself. The third and the main reason is loans from the bank. It was very easy to get a loan from the bank at that time. And the leverage was very high comparing to your original wealth. So when the crisis happened, the bank did not find enough assets with the investor to cover their loans. And that was their main reason for the default. The main diagnosis for the crisis that happened in 2008 in Dubai is because of the crisis happened in US, because of the Lehman Brothers bank default, and the crisis hit the entire world, many of the investors try to take their money back to cover their investment inside their main countries. And the tourists coming to Dubai become less because of the financial crisis in their own countries. And because of that, many of the investors here on the businesses inside UAE become shaky. That hit the market and stopped the dynamic of the movement of the liquidity inside this market. People who bought the property inside Dubai and aiming to flip it, they understand because of the crisis, no one is going to come to buy from them their property now. And because of that, they plan to dump these properties. That's why they were willing to sell this property with less than the value of the original property. And this was the main reason for the bubble burst, because now we have a properties, but we don't have buyers in the market. And the supply was higher than the demand, And most of these people were rushing to sell because they took huge loans from the bank. So they cannot cover these loans, and because they want to cover their bank loans, they had to sell these properties very fast so they can manage their finances. The number shows that this thing was big. That's why I said in 3 months we lost 40%. At the end of the years, some of the property even lost between 50 to 60% of the value of it. So it was huge and it was big. And whoever lived in that period can tell you what happened really and the feeling of this experience. The stock market lost more than half of the value for the stocks. Many people lost their job. Many businesses closed. And Dubai government had to take a loan of 20 billion from their neighbor in Abu Dhabi. And after that, the change story starts. Part 2, the comeback. Dubai government understand properly what happened in the crisis, and they start to move so they can stop any type of this crisis to happen in the future. The central bank of Dubai start to make some movement, and in 2013 they came back big, massively. They make a total change in the game with the new law for the mortgage or the loan from the bank for the investors for properties. This change in the law is a game changer. The law was saying for the local investors, if they're planning to buy homes, the loan value is going to be only 80% from the bank. And if the home is expensive, it's going to be only 70% at that time. And if it's your second time, it's going to be only 65% of the total value of the property. For the foreign investors, they become even more strict. For the first time buyers, it's 75%. For the expensive homes, it's only 65%. And if you are taking this home for investment, it means like repetitively buying, is going to be only 60%. Very important rule also is added to that regulation, is 50% the maximum amount of value for loan you will get for the off-plan properties. The properties is not built yet. If you compare this to the law before the bubble time, it's up to 95%. It's a game changer regulation. It changed the perspective of the investors for the real estate market, and the main aim for that rule is to prevent whatever happened before 2009. Also, they didn't stop there. They make a rule for the debt burden ratio, which they call it DBR. The DBR is the ratio between all your debt inside your monthly income and the rest of the money that you have and you can invest. So to clarify this information, let's say that your income is 10,000. You have loans up to 5,000. That's include your credit card, your loan for the car, and all your other loans from the bank. So if your debit is less than 50% of your income, you can get finance from the bank. But if your debit is exceeding the 50% of your income, you are not entitled to get any finance from the bank. This is to reduce the leverage that the investors have in their income. So we can have a big cap that help them if anything happen inside their finances. Another game changer in the regulation is now neither the buyer or the seller can have any access to the valuation of the property. The valuation of the property is going to be done through a third party, an expert who's not in a relation with the buyer or the seller, because previously, before 2009, what happened is many of the people who's doing the selling or the buying, they were playing around in the valuation of the property so they can get a higher loans. The bank now stepped in to change this regulation. So now the valuation of the property, it happened through a third party. Also, the new law said that the total value of the debt should be paid in less than 25 years. And there is also some limitation for the age until that time for the payment of the property. So they can have low risk in this finance process. The government did not just stop there. They stepped in also to help some of the builders to finish their properties. And also they start to move forward in other sectors to not just rely on the real estate market. They helped also the tourism and the trade in the market, so Dubai can diversify the income that's coming to the market. By 2014, the International Monetary Fund said that Dubai survived. They fixed whatever they have in the previous issue in 2009. So when we got to that point, now Dubai start to build ahead for the future. Part 3, the good days are back. Let us look now to what's happening today. The good days are back. Only in 3 months, we are talking about $46 billion being injected in the market. People were happy and they are investing in the market. In the last 3 years, the value of the property increased 70%. That shows the trust and the demand is going back to the real estate industry in Dubai. Definitely with all of that, you are asking now the question is, are we now in another bubble? Answering to this question, I have so many points to tell you where are we standing now. First, the 90% we were talking about previously in the bubble is gone. So many of the investors you see now in the market, they are injecting money from their own pocket. So if anything happen, definitely they will not lose the amount of money we saw it previously in the bubble days. Second, the buyers are different. Because of the limit of only 50% maximum, the type of people who's investing these days are different. People are not taking too much risk anymore. Also, investors learn the lesson. It's not more aiming for the flips like in 2009. Many of these investors who's entering this market now, they are looking for the rental income. They understand the game and they understand the lesson. It's not just for flipping. Fourth, the market now is more clear. The independent valuators, the experts who's doing this valuation for the property, they are giving you the real value of the property based on a scientific dynamics. So you understand that the property that you are buying now is the actual price. So you don't end up with an asset overpriced. So where we should invest? Now, this is the question that I think the majority of you as an investors are looking forward to find an answer. Downtown is still a great area for the investors, especially for the one who's looking for a steady rental income. The people who's looking for rental income, definitely downtown is one of the main areas that you should look forward. The appreciation, though, is not going to be that high because downtown is already developed. We have also Palm Jumeirah, is still one of the main and the great investment that you can do in your life. Even that, everyone now is talking about Palm Jabal Ali, but Palm Jabal Ali is a futuristic project. Palm Jumeirah, until now, for the luxury segment, it's a great investment. Dubai Marina is still a great investment also. Why? Because most of the property there are always rented. And if you are aiming to invest in the holiday homes or the Airbnb, definitely Dubai Marina is going to be one of your main focus because the demand there for the property is way high. Now let's talk about JVC. I know that many people they hate JVC. Many people they are talking about the oversupply in JVC. But in terms of the high rental yield, no one can beat JVC in this angle because JVC is the highest rental yield in Dubai. So, yes, if you are asking me and you are aiming for the rent, definitely JVC is going to be one of the main hubs you should focus on. And we have also Al Jaddaf. Al Jaddaf, it's new community considering to the connectivity that is there in Al Jaddaf. And Al Jaddaf, as a community, it's a great one. And the demand for the property there is way high. And you will find very high quality properties in Al Jaddaf. So definitely, if you are asking me, is it a great investment? I would say, yes, it's a great investment. Experts, they agree that Dubai market is going to grow and the future for UAE real estate market is huge. The report from S&P Global showing that the market is growing and the expectation is way high. All of this supported with the government plans for 2030. Even that the rents are not jumping as they used to do in couple years ago, but still the rental yield in Dubai is beating most of the countries surrounding in the world. Here is some small but big and effective information that most of the people they forgot. That in Dubai you don't pay taxes on the rental you are getting. And also when you do resale for your property and you are gaining profit, again you do not pay taxes on that. This is a big role of why the investors they always like and prefer to invest in Dubai. Part 4, the risk, and is Dubai is prepared for any shake it might happen. Let us address the elephant in the room. Is Dubai is a big bubble? Are we going to see another crash like the one we saw in 2009? The simple answer for this question is there is always going to be risk entitled with any investment you are going to do in any place on earth. But the type of risk you will see today is totally different than the type of risk you saw in 2009. That's why even the circumstances in this situation now is totally different than the one we saw in 2009. And based on the change is going to happen, I can say that it's unlikely to see the same situation we saw in 2009 because there is lots of elements changed from that time to this time. Let me be honest with you. There is risk around Dubai. Experts saying that most of the main things that they are afraid of is linked with the global situation. Things like the war between China and US in the trade, it's affecting the economy, definitely. And the taxation change in UK is affecting the economy inside Dubai. Also, the political situation in the Middle East definitely will affect the situation inside Dubai. All of these factors is part of the risk that we are considering while we are doing any investment inside Dubai. Because Dubai is connected with the entire world, any blockage, any change in the main game in the world, it might affect Dubai economy. We might see less or fewer investors aiming to inject their money inside Dubai economy. And that might affect the amount of the demand that we can see in the dynamic of the market. A report from Fitch showing that the worst scenario it might happen in Dubai, that the value of the properties in Dubai will drop down 15%. And as I mentioned previously, in the last 3 years, the prices in Dubai increased 70%. So in the worst case scenario, still for the investors who invested their money in the last 3 years, they are still gaining money. But definitely, it will affect their portfolio. Another thing that I should mention also, that in some areas, there is many buildings are coming soon to be handed over. With this amount of units, we are expecting that the supply and the demand ratio is going to be changed a little bit. With this amount of unit hitting the market, I might expect that the amount of returns that the owners are expecting is going to be less than their expectation. But this is not a sign of crash from my perspective. This is just sign for a little bit cool down. And I believe for these owners, if they wait little bit, a while, they will gain decent amount of revenues. So they are not going to lose, but they need to wait a little bit for their properties because of the supply in that particular areas are high in this period. The fact that Dubai economy now is more diversified is showing that the expectation for another crash like 2009 most likely is not going to happen. When we add all the factors I mentioned previously related the regulation that the government added, we can understand that the appetite, the vision, the method, and even the dynamics of the market changed. It's not like 2009. So a crash might happen, we never know, but definitely not similar to 2009 because even the government now it become way more wiser. You can say that the golden age of the investment for the property in Dubai started with the regulation of the Golden Visa. What is the Golden Visa? The Golden Visa is a program being introduced by the government. Basically, for the investors who's investing inside Dubai, more than $545,000, they will get a full residency for 10 years inside Dubai, renewable. It's a game changer for the people who's planning to come in Dubai. Because in the beginning, most of the people who were coming to Dubai, they were not aiming to live inside Dubai. And also, this law changed the character and the type of people who's investing inside the property. Why? Because their residency is hooked and entitled with their investment. So they don't want to lose their residency. That's why is not aiming from the beginning to resell or flip these properties. So that's why I said the golden times for the investment inside Dubai started with the golden visa policy. The government did not just stop with the program of the golden visa. They introduced also a new invention for the real estate market inside Dubai. They have this tokenization program. This program helped for the people who want to invest inside the real estate market, even if they don't have that amount of money to buy a full property, they can take it in shares. And that introduced lots of businesses to this market for the share ownership. We will have like several companies working on this sector. Many of them, they are doing very well, and we can see clearly most of the investors who tried this in the beginning, they were so satisfied and happy of the results. And we cannot also ignore the initiatives that they have it for the first time buyers. There is many initiatives coming from the government helping for the people who's aiming to buy their own and their first property inside Dubai. This type of programs helping the real estate industry inside Dubai to grow and flourish with steady background and with huge demand from the people who's aiming to live inside Dubai and invest for a longer period. So With everything we mentioned today, a common question definitely will come to your mind. How should I invest smartly in the real estate market in Dubai? Plan 1. Stick to the best areas. You can change so many things inside your property, but you cannot change your property location. If you are not picking the right location, definitely you will suffer a little bit to gain from this investment. Buying the right location is a fatal mistake if you did it in a wrong way. Why I'm saying this? I'm saying this because most of the good location is not mostly the one that the majority of the agent are going to pitch you to invest there. Plan 2. Focus in your rental income. Don't focus on the appreciation. I know most of the agents, when they start to pitch you any project, the main thing they will start to talk about is your appreciation. And they will tell you all the data about the appreciation, and they will start to stick this idea in your brain. Let's buy it so we can flip it. I understand it look very lucrative. I understand the gain you will get for this is high. But again, with high income also come high risk. You should always aim that it's a portfolio. It's a long plan for your wealth. We don't want to increase your risk and get stuck with over leverage. So the main aim you should keep it in your mind is long term. That's why I'm saying focus in your rental income. Your rental yield is fatal in your portfolio. Don't take too much debit. Taking too much debit equal to taking too much risk. Taking too much risk is not something that you want to do in today's economy. Focus to keep your debit below 50%. I understand now they lose a little bit the regulation regarding the debit, and I understand you can get a bit more. But again, if you want my recommendation, focus to keep it below 50%. Why? Because if you keep it below 50%, you still have a small area to play around if anything happens. That will keep you on the right side. Please, 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 don't put all your egg in one basket. If you like one area, that is good, but don't put all your investments in one place. And if you like one developers, that is great, but again, don't buy so many properties in the same building. When you do that, you are increasing your risk. Now, I might start to consider you are betting, you are not investing. So why to increase this amount of risk if your cost of opportunity lost is not covering this amount of risk? Always think strategically, always think for a very long time. Most of the real investors in the real estate industry, they are always thinking for 10 years ahead. The good thing is, in Dubai, you can understand clearly with a clear vision from the government, and we have so many documents being produced through the government to show you what is the plan ahead for the next 10 years. Through this plan, definitely if you go align with it, you will gain so much incomes. We have plans regarding the infrastructures, we have plans regarding the investments, we have even plans regarding the main plays that most of the developers are aiming to align with, like Ermar, Miraz, Nakhil, and all of the governmental developers. So if you put your portfolio and align with this all plans for long period, hopefully I can say that you will gain hell amount of money. Stay informed. What I mean by stay informed, thanks God, in today's economy, There is many informations and many reports coming from different providers. Like the video you are seeing today, I'm providing you with lots of information. And if you communicate it, the team we have, we can provide you with reports showing what's going on in the areas and analysis for the data. You need always to study the situation of your assets and understand in which position now we have for this asset. Is it the time for you to enter or the time for you to exit? Should I hold this property now, or maybe this is the time for me to change this property with another one? But please always try to be informed and always try to have a plan ahead, and you should keep in your mind plan A, plan B, plan C. Finally, I should say, if you are a serious investor, you should think about the golden visa. Golden visa, it's a great opportunity. Holding an asset for a long time, it will increase through the time with the appreciation, and it can generate for you decent amount of revenues in this period. Understanding this regulation, it might help you to do great amount of decent trading between many assets. So you should consider to think about golden visa as one of the things you should add to your paper. Now let's talk about the worst scenario. What if the market dropped down 15 to 20%? What's going to happen? First, if you followed the plans I mentioned previously, you will be okay. You will be saved and secure, because drop down between 20 to 15% in the value of the assets, it will not hurt you, especially if you are focusing on the rental yield, because you can hold your property for a longer period. And definitely, if you took a loan less than 50% of the value of this property, so you have the liquidity to maintain your property under your acquisition. So the risk for you, it will be very minimum. Second, if your main focus, as I mentioned before, is the rental income as a cash flow, it will keep coming to your bank account. So your cash flow will not be hurt, and it will still floating to your bank. And with this one, you can manage to survive any crisis it might happen. Third, you should always remember Dubai was the fastest one recover back from the crisis. So if the crisis, for God forbidden, happen, I think is the best place to be is inside Dubai, because at least you know if anything worse happen, you will recover back very fast. Here is the last thing I want to leave you with. Crisis is part of the cycle of the economy. That is a normal thing to happen. The question is always not related to the crisis itself. The question is how we can prepare ourselves to it. I don't know when a crisis might happen, but definitely based on the historical data, a crisis will happen. So it's not the question that if there is a crisis or not. The question is when we will have a crisis. But as we are growing and we study and we collect information, risk management is part of our daily practices. My main job is to help you to maintain your wealth and to grow it. Investors who's doing a sustained, considerable, realistic practices in their investment, they are the one who's growing and flourishing even in the crisis time. Many of the investors, especially in the Corona time, they injected their money in the economy and they gained decent amount of earning. Most of them are now so happy because of this investment they did. Why? Because they studied the market and they understand the dynamic of that market. So the question again is not that are we going to have a crisis or not. The question is, if the crisis happens, what are you going to do at that time? Thank you very much for your time. I'm so happy to have you until this point. I will be so glad if you subscribed and you shared my content to the people you feel like it will add a value for them.